Alright guys, so we want to talk about portfolios today. So in 1100 in quantitative reasoning we have portfolios that are due periodically throughout the semester. They are projects, little projects to do mostly in Microsoft Excel. So I know a lot of you guys aren't familiar with Microsoft Excel, so I was going to go and show you a few things and show you how to do the portfolio assignments. So now let's see where you can find those in your Blackboard course. Now, depending on who you're taking this class from, the portfolio assignments may be listed somewhere else. In my course, at least, they're in course content, and then I have this little link here: portfolio, submit assignments here, and here are all the assignments. Okay, so we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 this semester. You know, again, depending on who you're taking for the class, or maybe if I decide to change mine, my assignments next semester, you may have different page numbers here, or maybe more of them. But for right now, we're going to do this first portfolio assignment. It says page 15, that's lesson 1.2, technology 1. Okay, so I have the ebook pulled up over here, and let's see what it says. Okay, this is page 15. This is the ebook, but you'll see the exact same thing in your physical book. So we're supposed to do technology 1. So this is right here. This is technology 1. Now I had the first semester, I had a lot of students confused when they saw the portfolio on page 15. They thought you were supposed to do all of this stuff. But nope, that's not it. It says technology 1. Now there may be portfolios in the future where it says do technology 1 and 2, but for right now it just says do technology 1. So let's see what it says. Find an example of a bar graph in a book, magazine, newspaper, or online article on a subject that you find interesting. Recreate the bar graph in a spreadsheet, including labeling. Then copy and paste your bar graph into a Word document and type a sentence or two explaining why you find the topic interesting and why the bar graph and what the bar graph tells you. Be sure to note your source. Okay, so the idea here is we just want to find a bar graph and learn how to make bar graphs in Excel. And then last step is going to be to copy and paste it into a Word document and then write a couple sentences about it. Okay, so I have actually gone ahead and found a couple bar graphs that I want to use to demonstrate this with. So I'm going to go back over here to Blackboard, and then here is a bar graph I found. Now, a lot of folks have hard times finding bar graphs. What I would suggest for you to do is to go somewhere like the NewYorkTimes.com or maybe CNN or any of the big news sites and just look around. Eventually you'll find bar charts somewhere. I found this one, let's see, it's in a report about how much money, it's put out by the College Board, it's how much money you, the projected earnings about how much education you have. So I found this bar chart down here, let me find it again. There's actually several in this report. And what this bar chart is telling us is how much you would expect to earn over a lifetime compared to a high school diploma when you have these different degrees. So this says, like, if you have a master's degree, you would expect to make 1.96 times the amount of a high school graduate over your lifetime. So over your lifetime, if you took somebody that just had a high school diploma, added up all the money they made, and then took somebody that had a master's degree and added up all the money they made over their lifetime, the master's degree would be almost double that of a person with just a high school diploma. And then if you go over here to a professional degree, I think like a doctor or lawyer kind of thing, if you add up all the money they made over a lifetime and compare that to somebody with just a high school diploma, they would make 2.92 times the high school diploma amount, so almost 3 times as much. So this chart is interesting because it shows you, as your education at least on average, as your education level increases, so does your earning potential. Okay, and down here, this is also pretty important. If you don't even have a high school diploma, you would make on average, it says 0.72, so that'd be about 70% of somebody with a high school diploma. So if you don't even finish high school, you make less than 3/4 of the amount that somebody with a high school diploma does over a lifetime. So anyway, pretty important stuff here. Now, this does not guarantee, of course, that if you, say, get a master's degree, you're going to make double that of somebody with only a high school diploma, but on average, this is how things work out. And that doesn't mean that if you don't have a professional degree that you won't make it great in life and make a lot of money over your lifetime. This is just on average. But what this shows you is a pretty surefire way to ensure future earning potential is to increase your education. So enough of that. Let's get into making this graph in Excel. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write these numbers down. I could go ahead and just flip back and forth over and over again, between the two tabs. Excel and then the web page, but I'm just going to write these numbers down real fast. So we have less than a high school diploma, that says 0.72. High school diploma, that's just 1, because of course we're comparing this to a high school diploma. So the person that has a high school diploma makes exactly what a person with a high school diploma makes. So that's 1. Some college, that is 1.13. Associates, that is 1.27. Bachelor's, that's 1.65. Master's, 1.96. Doctoral degree, 2.43. And then professional degree, 2.92. I just wrote those on a piece of paper off to the side so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth when I get to Excel, because how most of you guys are going to do this is with Microsoft Excel. Now, I know some of you guys have Macs, some of you guys might use Open Office, but we're going to use Excel. Everybody can access Excel for free. Now, I guess since this is the first portfolio, I'll go here and show you. Let me go back to Blackboard, I have this in course content. Now, this may be somewhere different, or you may have to ask your teacher for this, but I have this, let's see, right here. This little document, I'm going to zoom out here, that shows you how to get Microsoft Excel through your Rivermail account, okay? So it's super important that if you don't have Excel, to go ahead and get it through your Rivermail account, because this is free for all students. So here's the instructions. Pause this if you need to, and go to your Rivermail and install this. Now, check their system requirements, because I had some students with older versions of Windows, like if you still have Windows XP or Windows Vista, those operating systems are way outdated. I don't think this is going to work with those, because Microsoft doesn't support those anymore. But as long as you have a modern operating system and your computer is up to speed, then you'll be fine. But it's super important to get this, because if you don't have Excel, you'll have to use Open Office or something else, which is fine, but the buttons won't be in the same place as what I'm about to show you. So, okay, let's forget about that. Let's go back to the portfolios, and then we'll go back to recreating that. We'll go back to recreating that bar chart that I have right here. So we want to do this in Excel. So I'm going to go over here, go to Microsoft Excel. Now I have version 2010. If you have a newer version or an older version, yours will look a little bit different, but the ideas will be very, 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 very similar. The idea is exactly the same. The buttons might be in slightly different spaces. Okay, so here's what you want to do to make a bar graph. It's super easy, guys. For just that basic bar graph, we're going to make where you just have one set of bars and then just two axes. It's not going to be so bad. All you really need to do is make two columns. Okay. Now the first column, that's going to be our education level. the way you label your columns is how these axes are labeled. So we have education level, and then we have earnings ratio. So those are going to be our two columns. Okay, so the first one we're going to say is education level. If I can type today. Okay, now what do you notice? That's all. That doesn't fit in that first column. That's kind of annoying. Now watch what happens if I go over here and type in this is column B. Okay, here's a little tip for us. That cell right there, we refer to that cell as cell B1 because it's in column B and row 1. This cell right there, that's cell A1 because it's in column A, row 1. Okay, if you go over here, here's the label of that cell, F6, because it's in column F, sorry, row 6. So anywhere you click, notice here, there is the name of that cell. That's going to be very useful to know throughout the semester doing these portfolios. So that's kind of the first major tidbit of information that you need to know. Okay, and so anywhere you see here, that's where it's called the name box, where it shows you the name of that cell. Very important. So let's go to cell B1 and type in, we said earnings ratio. Make sure that was right. Now look, that's annoying. See, we typed in education level there, but you can't see it because it's being covered up by earnings ratio. Now how can you fix that? Here, there's two ways. One way is to go up here between A and B in that column and see that little symbol pops up, a little arrow with a line in between. See, we have just this regular symbol down here, and if we go up here between the A and the B, that appears. So if I click and then move it, see I can make that column wider. So that's one way to adjust the width of a column. Here's another way. If you go and let that symbol appear real fast and double click, it auto adjusts. It auto adjusts to the width of the text that's in there. So there's two ways to make the columns wider. Now, all we need to do here is type in the values that are different education levels, and then the earnings ratio, the numbers that correspond to those earning ratios. So here, what were the education levels? Well, there was less than high school. Let's type HS for high school. Well, let's do exactly what they have. Less than a high school diploma. Less than a high school diploma. Okay, you see the same thing happen there? Watch what I can do. Just double click there, and it automatically adjusts. So less than a high school diploma, and then we have high school diploma. Let's see, let's do that. Okay, the next category was some college. Now, what did it say exactly? Some college, no degree. Now, I said I was going to write all these down, so I'd have to flip back and forth. But I ended up flipping back and forth anyway. So then we have associate degree. Okay, then we have a bachelor degree. Then we have a master's degree. Then we have a doctoral degree. Then we have a professional degree. Let me double check to make sure those were all we have. Let's see. So we have the first row is taken up by our header. Then we have 8 more. So let me make sure there's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. So 8 categories. Now, the earnings ratio, that's what I wrote down, those numbers down. Those are just the numbers that correspond to those categories. So we have 0.72, 1, 1.13. These are the numbers that correspond to each of those categories. Now, sometimes bar graphs won't have, like when you find a bar graph, it might not tell you exactly what the bar heights are. So you might have to estimate. Like if it wasn't labeled 0.72 there, I would probably estimate it to be 0.75. Well, because the bar height terminates between 0.5 and 1, about halfway. So I would estimate it about 0.75. But here they tell us the exact values, so we don't have to estimate. Okay, so let's go back over here and type in those values. So 0.72. Then the high school diploma had a bar height of 1. Some college had 1.13. Associates had 1.27. Bachelors had 1.65. Masters 1.96. Doctoral 2.43. And professional degree 2.92. Okay, that's the hardest part. Okay, now we are to the part where we can create our graph. Super easy. Then we'll have to just clean it up a little bit. So what you want to do is select all of your data. Now there's different ways to do this. One way is to click and hold down the left mouse button. So left click and hold down the mouse button on one corner of your data, and then drag till you reach the other corner. Then let off. That will select all of your data for you. Okay? Or you can do something like this. Click on one side, hold the shift key, and then click on the opposite corner. So I start at this corner, I'm going to select the opposite corner, and then let off. That will, while you're holding shift, left click, that will allow us to select all of your data. Okay? Now, to create the graph, very, very easy. Insert, and go over here to, this is where your charts are. We want to insert, now we call these bar charts. Excel calls vertical bar charts column charts, because you can make two different types of bar charts in Excel. You can make vertical bar charts and horizontal bar charts. Well, Excel decides to call these column charts. So if you want to make a vertical one, go here, and there's different versions. You can do 3D, cylinder. All we need to do is just the regular 2D. And if you want to be more fancy, you can. Then select. Now this does have the option to be a cluster chart, but we'll get into that later. So select this first option here under 2D column. Click it, and look what happens. Okay, so that works out pretty good. Now let's see here. We need to do a little bit of cleaning up, because this isn't exactly how we want it to be. So first of all, our title is not right. This needs to be our vertical axis label. So I messed that up a little bit. It's alright, we can clean it up real fast. So what's the title of my original chart? Well, let's see. Expected full-time lifetime earnings relative to high school graduates by education level. That's more of a description, but I'll make that my title. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. So go over here. I'm going to delete that. Let's see if I can paste. Yeah. Okay, let's make that smaller because that's way too big. Let's go ahead, and if you go to home, of course, you can make that smaller. Let's see, size 15 gets it. Yeah, then we can move it up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's fine. Okay, what else? We don't really need that right there. We can get rid of that. There. Gives us more space. Let's see here. Our bar heights. Let's see about this. Okay, so if we go over here to Chart Tools, see how it's highlighted up there, and go over here to, let's see, Layout. We need to label these numbers right here. If we go back to the original graph, see the vertical axis. These numbers, those are numbers on the vertical axis, and this is the horizontal axis. So our horizontal axis has the categories of different degrees, and our vertical axis has the earnings ratios, the numbers. Okay, so we need to label that vertical axis. So the way you do that is to go to Chart Tools, go to Layout. Now some versions of Microsoft Excel have a little plus sign right there, and then you can click that plus sign and get all of these options right here. So let's go to Axis Titles. We want the vertical axis title, and let's do rotated, so that'll kind of turn it on its side. So we have a rotated title, and we need to, this was called earnings ratio. Okay. So we have earnings ratio, that's labeled. We need to label this horizontal axis. I mean, of course, we can probably understand what this means, but you never want to assume your audience, the reader of your chart, knows what you know. So we need to label this horizontal axis, and the horizontal axis is labeled education level in the original graph. Again, we're trying to recreate this as close as possible. It won't be exactly the same, but we can be very close. So education level, so we go over here to axis titles, go to primary horizontal, and then title below axis, and we call this education level. Okay, let's make this a little bigger so you can read it there. See that? Perfect. See, when it was small, watch it. It was making all of those category labelings abbreviate. So we make it bigger just by waiting until you mousing over any one of the corners until that little diagonal arrow ray. The line appears with arrows on the edge. Go here and just make it bigger. You can make it as big as you want to. I think that's perfect. Okay, so let's see. Let's compare this. Let's see if I can do this to this. Oh. Okay. So we have earnings ratio. We have education level. We have all of our categories look like they match up. Now the one thing we can do is make those numbers appear. Now let's see here. Data labels maybe. Outside and there we go. Again, what I do there, I went to data labels and turned it set outside of the end. Because look what you need. You can do it center. You can do we don't like that. That's ugly. You can do the outside the end. Oh, I want to table it. Do that, yeah. Okay. So there we are. So we have the data labels just like the original graph did. Now let's see. Anything else we're missing here? Expected full-time lifetime earnings. We have the title right. We have all of our categories labeled correctly, it looks like. We have the data labeled. We have our axes labeled. If this axis had weird numbers on it right here, because Excel is going to just pick a scale that fits. The scale is how the numbers are spaced out here. So we're counting by 0.5 halves here: 0, half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. Excel might have picked a different scale by default. We lucked out here that it picked the scale that our original graph used. Notice here these numbers are rounded to 2 decimal places. Over here we're only rounded to 1 decimal place. We can fix that if you wanted to. Click on those numbers, go to Format Axis, and let's see. I bet we can do this. Oh no, display unit. Oh yeah, display units. No, that's not what we want. Oh, I don't even see it. Major unit. I bet we could do this. Maximum. I bet if we did. I wonder if we added a 0 there. I wonder if we did that. If it would give us. Nope. That's all right. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but looking at it real fast, I don't see it. So that's no big deal. So that's the only little discrepancy there, but that's very, very minor. The numbers are the same; they're just rounded, and the rounding here doesn't even matter because they're all zeros. But that's fine. Okay. So yeah, we have earnings ratio, we have education level. Looks like we have recreated this pretty much to the T. If you ever want to play around, go to here, go to Chart Tools. You can go to Format. you can, let's see here, no, design. You can change the color. Oh, change the color. Anything you want. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. What do we have here? Oh, yeah. Oh, I just messed up my layout. There we go. Sorry. Oh man, I'm gonna Control Z all that. There. Okay. So you can change the color. You can do all kinds of stuff with the layout. But that's all you have to do, and then you can play around. There's different ways to like make this, a gradient, like it's not a solid color. There's all kinds of things you can make your graph look prettier if you want to. But that's all you have to do. Let's go back to blue. I like blue. Okay. Now to finish this out, all you have to do is copy and paste this into Microsoft Word, or if you're on a Mac, whatever, or if you have Open Office or whatever program. But it's very important. You need to save this in a Microsoft Word format. So even if you're not using Microsoft Word, you need to save it in a .doc or .docx format. So it's very, very important, because if you submit it into, say you're using Mac, and I forget what the program Mac is. Anyway, if you submit in that format, but you're submitting it to your teacher who only has all our machines are Windows machines, and we can't open that document, then we'll have a problem. So you need to make sure to submit this in a .doc or .docx format. So, okay, so to copy this, all you want to do is click on anywhere that's not like an actual element of the chart. Like there's some blank area there. Don't click on here, but click on a blank area of your chart, and then it's a right click and go to copy, and then go to Microsoft Word, and all you have to do is paste. And there you go. There's our graph. Now, what you want to do are write a few sentences about why you think this graph is interesting, and tell and describe what the graph is telling us. So, 2, 3, 4 sentences is all it requires. But again, copy and paste the actual graph. Don't copy and paste a screenshot, because what I can do when I'm grading this is, even in Microsoft Word, I can go over here and double check that you actually created the chart and you didn't copy and paste a picture off Google Images or something like that. So make sure to copy and paste the graph, not a picture, not a screenshot. Okay, and then write a few sentences and then save it. Now, when you go to save as, I'll just save on the desktop. What you want to do is label this. Now, most teachers who are teaching this class, myself included, have lots of students in quantitative reasoning. So what we want to do is have you, at least me, now your teacher may require something else, but I want you to name it according to this convention. Now this is described in the directions, but here's how I want you to name the document. Last name, so my last name is Kilman. First name, my first name is Taylor, so separated by underscores, so last name underscore first name underscore P, in the page number the portfolio is on. This portfolio is on page 15. So 15 there in the ebook. So P15. Okay? So Kilman underscore last name underscore first name underscore P, then whatever page number. Save that. Again, don't forget to write a few sentences about what the graph is telling you and why you find it interesting. Very important. Let's just recap. You want to copy the graph, but even if the original graph doesn't have all these elements, you want to make sure that there's a few essential elements. With the bar chart, you always want to make sure to label the axes. Very, very important. So label the horizontal axis and label the vertical axis. A title is always important. Now, these numbers right here, I just put them there because the original graph did. Those aren't absolutely necessary, but a title and axes labels are. Of course, a scale is too, but Excel is usually pretty good about picking a scale that fits all of the data and is appropriate. So you don't really usually have to worry about that, but make sure to label the 2 axes and the title of the chart. Okay, very important. Now, that's done. All you have to do to submit, let's see, we can close this out. To submit, go back to Blackboard. And again, depending on if this is changed, usually you'll find where you can submit the assignments under course content for most instructors. So go there, and all you have to do is find the appropriate assignment. Here, this is page 15. Click on it, and scroll down a little bit. You're looking for it to attach a file. Of course, this due date is going to be wrong. It's past due already, but make sure to do these assignments before the due date, of course. Browse your computer, find the file. Let's see, I put it on the desktop. Oh, there we are. And all you have to do is attach the file. If you want to put any comments there, feel free, but make sure that everything that's supposed to be in the assignment is in the attached file. Don't try to skip on stuff in your file and supplement here. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, you can put those there, but the actual everything that's assigned needs to be in here. And notice how it's a docx format. Remember, all your submissions need to be .docx or .doc. Real fast, if you are using a different program, let's say you're using Open Office maybe, or another program, the default file format won't be Word, but you'll have a save as dialog box like this, and then to save it as docx, just open that drop down menu and find Word document. Okay, so here, like, we can do Word document. Any of these will be fine. Just make sure to save it in .doc or .docx format, and all you have to do is hit submit. Now, I'm not going to submit this because I'm not a student, but that's all you have to do. Hit submit. You have most instructors give 3 tries, and I'll give 3 tries. So you can submit it once. You can either get a perfect score, or if you don't get a perfect score, your teacher will probably tell you what you did wrong and give you another opportunity to fix it. Okay. Of course, consult your syllabus for exact details on how that works, how many attempts you have, due dates, all that kind of stuff. So that was all you have to do for the first portfolio. Now, I want to show you one more thing, because I have a lot of students ask me this. A lot of graphs you see online are cluster bar graphs. Here's an example I found one a little while ago of a clustered bar chart. So let's see here. This is sales of electric vehicles. So this is comparing the U.S. And China as it pertains to the sales of electric vehicles. Okay, so we see here that these are clustered. Okay, so you have 2 bars for 2012, 2 bars for 2013, 14, and 15. The purple bar represents U.S. electric car sales, whereas the blue bar represents Chinese electric car sales. And so this is I frequently have students ask me, well, how do you make a chart like this in Excel? It's actually very similar. It's not hard at all. So I'm just going to show you. Again, we've already done a basic bar chart, but in case you found a bar chart you like that's clustered, I'll show you how to do that real fast. Oh, there's one more thing I want to show you about this other graph. Let's say you have a bar graph that instead of columns, it's organized in rows. And what I mean by that is all the bars instead of vertical or horizontal. That's pretty common. You have horizontal bars instead of vertical bars. That's very easy to fix. Go up here to, okay, so we have a column chart right now, a column bar chart. Go up here to change chart type. Click on bars. These are horizontal. Click there. See there? Now, of course, we would have to rotate these a little bit, but that would be how you would do it if you had data that was arranged like this. And lots of bar charts are online. Lots of bar charts are arranged horizontally, and lots are arranged vertically. So it just depends on which graph you find when you start digging around for a graph you want to recreate. So again, that's all you have to do there. Change chart type, and if we had originally picked a horizontally oriented chart, that's all you have to do is select that option down there. Okay, but I'll change it back. There we go. Okay, but we're done with that. So let's open a new file. I want to show you how to do that clustered bar chart, since a lot of times students do have clustered bar charts. So here, realize that we have, in this graph, we have a few different things here. We have a category, the category is year here. We have a second category of, so the primary horizontal axis is year, 2012, 13, 14, and 15. But we also have the color-coded. So we're going to have 3 columns of data here. We're going to have a year column. We're going to have a column for U.S. sales, and we're going to have a column for Chinese sales. So I'll show you what this looks like going back over here. Again, this is just showing you in case you find a clustered bar graph you want to recreate. This is how you do it. So again, we have 3 columns: a date column, a U.S. column, and we'll just say a China column. So here we have that list the dates. We had 2012, I think, 2013, 2014, and 2015. Let me double check those dates. Yeah, 12 through 15. Okay, we're good there. Actually, we can close that other one out. We're done with that. Okay. Now we need to go back to this chart and estimate these. Because remember, I told you a lot of bar charts don't tell you the exact values on the bars. So we need to estimate these bar heights. And I'll just write these numbers down. Like that looks, about a little bit over. Okay, so we're 0, 50,000, 100,000. So a little bit over 50,000. Let's call that like 53,000. Okay, that right there looks to be about, I don't know, let's see, it's maybe about a quarter of the way between 0 and 50,000. So we're just estimating here. We don't know the exact values. So let's say that's 12,000. Okay. Now I do see here you can download the data, so don't think I'm being a big dummy. I'm trying to show you how you might have to do it on your own, because a lot of times the exact numbers aren't given to you, so we have to estimate. So I'm going to write down all these estimates of numbers, and let's go to the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so in 2012, looking at there, I estimated that it was about the U.S. sales electric cars were about 53,000. Okay, and then the Chinese was about 12,000. Again, I'm just going to estimate these numbers. In 2013, the U.S. bar height was close to 100,000. It was about, let's say 96. Oh, not 86. Let's say about 96,000. Okay, the Chinese, about 18 or so. Again, I wrote down estimates earlier, so I'm reading these off a piece of paper now. For 2014, it was about 120,000 for U.S. and for Chinese, about 75,000. And then for 2015, U.S. sales actually declined, but Chinese sales went way up. So 175, 1, 2, 3. Now, very important, you don't need commas here. Just type in the actual number. No need for comma. Now, just like last time, what you have to do here is select the data. Now, I want to show you, I'm going to, on purpose, do this wrong the first time. Well, I'm going to show you how you would expect to do it and show you one little modification you have to make. So just like before, all you have to do is select the data, go to Insert. Now we go to Column again, and this is actually a clustered column. Just last time we didn't have clusters. Now notice here, this does not look like our original graph. So let's minimize this. Let's do this. Pull this over here. That does not look the same because we have 3 bars there instead of 2. So that's a problem because it's giving us a date bar. It's giving us a date bar, a US bar, and a Chinese bar. So that's a problem. Now here's why, and I knew this was going to happen, but I want to show you why you would think this is how you would expect to have to do the graph. Let's delete that. Here's how you get it to work. Delete that date header. Okay? Now select the data and go to Insert, Column, in a 2D clustered column chart. And see there? That's exactly what we wanted to happen. Okay? Now let's pull up our original. Oh, let's move this out of the way. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Now, what are we missing? Okay? Well, first of all, that's fine that the color coding is over here instead of up there. That's no big deal. And it's fine too. I like the actual years as opposed to apostrophe 12, apostrophe 13. So I'm going to say that ours is actually better in that regard. But what we want to do is make our scale the same. Okay? See here, Excel picked a scale, which is fine. But I want to recreate this graph, so let me recreate this scale here. So it looks like they're counting by what? They go from 0 to 50,000, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000. So what are they counting by? What are they adding each time? Looks like they're adding 50,000. So we have a scale of 50,000 here. And also we need to get a title, so sales of electric vehicles. Okay? And there's a couple things they didn't do. We want to make sure to label the horizontal and vertical axes. So what are these? These are dates here, or years. So let's label that year. And then let's label this sales. Okay? Even though there's a title that indicates that, it's always good to label the axes. So let's go over here and do that. Okay, so we want to go click on the chart. We want to go to layout. We want a chart title. Let's say above chart. Centered overlay, that's going to put it kind of in the middle of everything. We want it above the chart. So let's see here. Sales of electric vehicles. That's what our original said, isn't it? Yes, okay. Now, let's see. Oh, scale. So we want to make a scale of 50,000. So left click on your axis, then right click and go to Format Axis. So we want to start at 0, that's good. But what's the maximum on our original? The maximum on our original was 200,000. So let's go over here and go to the maximum. Yes, it's 200,000. And the major unit, let's say it's 50,000 instead of 20. Okay? Close that, and there we go. See how that gives us the same numbers, 50, 100, 150, 200,000. Okay, what else? Okay, let's label our axes. So let's go over here, go to Layout, Axis Titles, Primary Horizontal. Let's call that the year. Again, always want to label your axes. So year. Now let's also go to primary horizontal, vertical. Rotated. That'll make sure that that'll make sure it writes it at a 90, parallel to the axis, as opposed to writing it perpendicular to the axis, which would be fine, but this just looks better, I think. Okay, so let's say sales of electric cars. Okay, or no, that's not a good title. Let's call that number of electric cars sold. Okay, there we go. Now let's compare. So again, the color coding, doesn't matter that the color code's over here as opposed to over here on the regular, that's fine. We have the years, 2012 through 15. We have our axis, the same increments, the same scale, 50, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000. That's good. We went ahead and did what we always need to do, which was label our axes. So year and number of electric cars sold. And that's all we have to do. So again, this is how you would make a clustered bar graph. The main thing is that you have a column for each of the categories. So we have a date column, then a US and China categories, but then delete that first header above your dates. And that will allow you to make your clusters be organized by date, by year. Okay, so again, now this is just a demonstration to show you how to do a clustered bar graph, because I know lots of students find clustered bar graphs that they want to recreate, and that one little piece up here is kind of confusing. So again, if this was going to be a bar graph, again, don't copy mine. Find your own. Find interesting. Copy and paste this into Microsoft Word. Write a few sentences about it. Save it and submit it. Make sure you use .doc or .docx formats. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Again, this is really useful stuff. At some point in the rest of your schooling or in your job, you're going to have to work with Excel, and these portfolios are going to teach you how to use different ideas, different concepts in Excel. So I hope it's been helpful. We have lots more to come. At least seven or so more of these to go. So see you guys soon. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or ask me in class.